Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Rick, Broadman Baptist Church. This is the Broadman Word for May 17th, 2023. I want to talk to you today about the title is Not Without Love, and it's from 1 Corinthians 13, the Apostle Paul writing about so many things that we can accomplish, but if we do so without the core of love, then it means nothing. So let's go ahead and read together in Scripture from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting in verse 1. Paul writes, "If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor, and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves." And Paul goes on to say some more things about it as well. So here we go. It strikes me that the Apostle Paul, with all of his education and all of his upbringing, he was raised in a good family. And like I said, would have been very well educated. He was, in fact, an expert on Scripture from a young age. But then, of course, we know he had a significant, traumatic, maybe even the most traumatic conversion of anybody in the world. But with his orientation, his abilities, his authority as apostle, he says, even if I speak in tongues of men or angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging bell. And he even goes on to say, if I have prophecy, but I don't have love, I'm nothing. Then he even says, you could have faith required to move mountains, but if you don't have love, then you're nothing. You've gained nothing. And even if you are so dedicated to the gospel that you turn your very self, your body, over for hardship in the service of the gospel, but you don't have love, you don't have anything. So Paul reduces this down into very simple terms. You would think that somebody turning their body over to hardship for the gospel would be doing so in love, but would they really have to? You could have the head knowledge that, hey, I'm going to get noticed for this. This is what we're supposed to do. I'm going to gain some notoriety out of this. Maybe some folks will think highly of me because of the hardships that I'm going to go through. And these things are not things of love. If you think about it, if you speak in tongues, that's a very rare spiritual gift, and so that individual would be very special. And of course, if you see somebody speaking in tongues, the scripture also says that there must be an appointed interpreter right there. So, but, realities aside, Paul saying, hey, if I could speak in tongues, but I'm not using this out of love for God's people because of my response to God's love for me, I don't have anything. You're just a bell, a clanging bell, a gong ringing in the wind. And then even if you are able to unravel the mysteries of prophecy and issue, grand prophetic statements because of the gospel, in the gift that you've been given. If you're not doing that because you have a deep abiding love in Jesus Christ and what was done for you and the Father that provided that, and you're not using your prophecy for the good of others, to serve others out of love for them, you've done nothing. So Paul goes and lists these fantastical things, even down to the point where you give everything you have to the poor. You leave yourself with nothing. If that wasn't done out of love for the poor, because of God's love for you and yours for him, you've done nothing except giving away all your stuff. So it's important for us then to act out of love. Not just important, it's critical. It's where it needs to start. And we need to understand what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. We have to act in love, out of love, for love, with love. Today's title is Not Without Love, meaning you should do nothing in your life without love, because if you do, you've not accomplished anything. That's why I've warned you and instructed you so many times that there is no such thing as a random or a regular day. You should leave the house with a plan and a purpose and a focus to accomplish your mission in God that day and how you're going to go about doing it. Because if you don't, then you're just going through the motions of a day, of a worldly day, some repetitive set of tasks just to get you from 8 to 5, if you're fortunate enough to only work 8 to 5. And there's no love there. You haven't acted in love. You haven't represented God that day. You haven't been on your mission that day because whatever you did was done without love. So it's not just an idea. It's not just theoretical. It's something, I really should, serve more. I should give more. Yeah, okay, sure. That's not the point. The point is love should be driving you to do those things. Love should be driving you to church, not because you don't want the pastor to say something about you not being there or people in general not being there. You should be driven to church. Your heart for Christ should drag you to church against all worldly opposition. Your serving in church, your presence in church, your participation in church need to be based in love and not obligation, unless the obligation becomes because of your feelings of love. So, examine then whether you are actually acting in love. Is that what you're doing? When you get up and get to moving around after you've thanked God for another day in his kingdom, and you are in fact going about your business, are you acting in love? And then finally, Paul tells us that love is patient, it is kind, it does not envy, does not boast, is not proud, it doesn't dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. Is that you? Because that is who you are from. God is love. By definition, God is love. And you are made in the image of God, fearfully and wonderfully made by him for purposes here on earth. So are you an embodiment of love? Are you patient? Are you kind? Are you not boasting? Are you not proud? Are you not seeking self-worth? Are you not easily angered? Do you hold grudges, or do you not keep records of wrongs? And then finally, are you always protecting, always truthful, and always hopeful in persevering through whatever trials you may have on any particular day or time period in your life? These are measures on how well your Christian walk is going. Now, we're not perfect. We are sinful creatures. We're going to sin. We're going to stumble. We're going to make mistakes. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do you pick yourself back up, and how closely do you keep this love is patient, love is kind set of scriptures as a guide? Is it in your mind? Is it on your heart? Is it what you're thinking about? Is it how you're trying to move yourself toward that goal? Are you using it as a guide to whatever you do? Or are you perhaps reacting to the world in worldly terms and with worldly circumstances and with worldly words? I know it's difficult. We are, in fact, people, and we are surrounded by nonsense, even more so seemingly every day. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to understand first and try to get yourself to a place where your actions on any given day are motivated by love of God and love of God's people, because He loves you. Second, try to model yourself after this passage in 1 Corinthians 13:1, towards the end here. Use it as a guide stick. Love is patient, love is kind, and the other things that the scripture goes on to say. To set that up next to whatever you said, did, whatever you thought, etc., and match them up. See where you fell. See where you gained victory. And then make a plan to get closer to what should have happened in the situation or at the time. When you can do that, you're going to find your walk much more productive and fruitful. You're going to find yourself much less stressed and anxious. You're going to find yourself much more joyful, and you're going to find yourself much more blessed, because God will honor those actions. Listen, I love you. You have a marvelous day. I'll talk to you next time.